Hello there and welcome to All Painting My Way. My name's Rob. I hope you're having a great day. Right, today I've just done a quick video because I seem to be getting asked a lot lately the difference between student grade and artist grade paints. Now, I did actually state in one of my previous videos that I will actually be doing a video on this, but for some reason it seems to have come round quicker, probably because people keep asking me the question. That's why it's come round quicker. But I just thought I would try and explain to you, doing a quick drawing on a canvas, and I apologise in advance for this, for the not detailed drawings of my paint tubes, but I've just drawn three very rough paint tubes. The paint tubes are not the issue here, it's the actual contents that we're concentrating on, not the really rough outline. So apologies in advance, no shouting at me or anything or dropping rude comments. This is not what it's about, it's about the contents of the tubes. So basically what you'll see is three tubes and it will have three separate contents. Now, as most of you will probably know, and for those of you who don't, when you pick up a tube of oil paint, inside it, it has oil, it has a pigment, and it will have a filler. Now, the student grade paint, because of the cost, which is fairly cheap, it has a lot more filler in it to pack the tube out and basically make it go a bit further. Now, when you're normally using oil paint, when you actually buy oil paint, what you're actually really paying for is the pigment. The pigment is basically the colouring that's going on to the canvas, and the stronger the pigment, the better finish that you're actually going to get. Now, if you've got limited amount of pigment in there and it's packed out with filler, then obviously yes, you will get some detail come out. But when you've got the finished painting over a longer period of time, once it's dried out and once the light's got to it, it will tend to go a bit flat on the canvas. It will lay a lot flatter, and basically the colours won't look as intense and as strong. But if you're just starting out with oil painting and you just want to try out, then these are fine and these are ideal for you to practice with. You don't want to be going and spending lots of money on maybe artist grade or even a premium grade, and then after a couple of weeks decide that it's not for you, so you have ended up maybe wasting that additional bit of money. So if you are just starting out, then obviously I would advise purchase the student grade. If you can, go for the artist grade, and then hopefully you'll be able to see the difference once you start putting the paint down. But the first tube that you'll see is basically split, and you'll see in there how there's much more pigment in there to pack the tube out. And then as we move along to the artist grade, which will be the tube in the middle, you'll see that the filler is actually reduced almost by half. These are rough figures. There is no exact 70%, 20%, 10%, anything like that. These are just rough ideas, so you've got an idea when you're actually looking at a tube of paint, and you can just sort of say, well, okay, I understand that this one's got more in because of the fact that it's an artist grade against a student. So these are not exact, it's not an exact science, there's no exact percentage. I'm just letting you know the rough difference that you'll actually get in these tubes of paint. So with the artist grade, probably round about half the amount of filler as you would in a student grade, and then they put obviously a lot more pigment back in there, and you'll notice the difference once you start using this paint because of the stronger pigment. So that will be the student and the artist, and then you go on to a premium grade, which will be the top of the range paint. Now this will have absolutely minimal amount of filler, minimal, if at all it's actually got any in there. Some of them I have known have got no filler in at all, others have put a minimal amount in. It's literally, well, I mean, you'll see it on the actual painting that I'm just about to show you, but it's a minimal amount, and there'll be much more pigment in there. Now in hindsight, because the paint is a lot stronger, the pigment's going to go further because you don't need as much paint to get that strength and that colour to actually push through, which is what you're looking for when you're painting, for a nice, strong, vibrant colour. So because of that, you could end up buying one tube of paint as maybe a premium grade against 3 tubes as an example of artist grade. So in hindsight, once you add the 3 tubes together, you're almost pushing the price up towards the 1 tube of premium. So it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. So just bear that in mind when you're actually choosing your oil paint. Hopefully you can see the difference in these basic demonstrations. Again, I'll just have to apologise for the rough drawing of the tubes, but we're just looking at the different quantities of the oil, the filler and the pigment. So hopefully you can look at this and it will help you decide what you want to do, but just bear in mind, the more pigment, the less paint you'll use, and the further it will go, the more vibrant the colours will be, and the painting will look so much better using these type of paints as opposed to a student grade which is packed out with filler. So just bear that in mind, as I say, and I hope you find this useful. And if you do, please give me a thumbs up, give me a like, please hit the subscribe button somewhere down here, and if you want more notifications or videos, hit the little bell button after you've subscribed, and that will notify you next time I put a video up. So again, I hope you find this useful, and I shall see you in the next video. This has been All Painting My Way. My name's Rob. Enjoy the rest of your day. Hello there. So here we are basically with just a standard piece of artboard, and I'm just going to draw on here 3 rough diagrams of a sort of tube of paint. I'm going to do 3 basic ones. One I'm going to show you which is a student grade, one's going to be an artist grade, and one is going to be a premium grade. Now I'm just going to show you the rough split between the oil, the pigment and the filler. So just to start off with, basically, as I say, this is going to be a rough. We're basically going to start with, maybe this is going to be our first tube. Let's just say that's the first one there. And again, this is just a rough idea, just to give you an idea of the quantities of the different types of contents. As I say, let's just roughly do that, just so you can sort of see. Yes, I know that looks very rough, but it's just for diagram purposes. If your tubes of paint do look like this, maybe I would take them back to the shop, but for the purpose of this video, we're not worried about what the tubes look like. I just want to basically show you the difference. I get asked quite a lot, what is the difference between maybe a student grade, an artist grade and a professional grade. So I just thought, I did mention it in one of my other videos that I would at some point be doing it, but it seems to have come around a lot quicker because it seems quite a common question. So I just thought I would quickly put this video together. Again, if you just do have tubes of paint that look like this, I would take them back to the shop, but this is just a rough drawing. I could have drawn these in beforehand, but I thought, why not? I'll do it from the start, and then you can appreciate that I am human, just like everybody else. Sometimes we do things roughly, and sometimes we don't. For this purpose here, excuse my hand if it's in front of the camera, if you're interested in me drawing a very rough tube of paint. So basically, if you imagine those are our our 3 tubes of paint. So we're going to have the student grade, which is going to be that one. We're going to have the artist grade, which is going to be that one. That's going to be the artist. That's going to be the student. And then finally we're going to have the premium. So what we've got, if we start off with our student, it's going to be divided up with 3 ingredients. Probably, and these are rough, I'm not giving exact measurements because different manufacturers will vary slightly, but just so you've got a rough idea. This area here, let me just change a brush, fill this in. This grey is going to represent the filler. It's basically what they use to pack out the tube. That will be your filler. And then your pigment, if we say that which is going to be in the blue, in the red, if we roughly say that's going to be our pigment. Again, as I say, these are not, I can't give an exact percentage. I'm not going to say like 75% or anything like that, because different manufacturers, as I say, will vary, but it's just so you've got an idea in your mind when you're looking at the difference. You might want to just think, well, actually I'll pay that little bit extra. So, and then what we'll have is we'll have the oil. Apologies that this is blending in, but it is painting. So that roughly will be the split that you'll get on a student grade. On an artist grade, what you're probably going to get something like this. So we've got the grey, which is the filler. We have the red, which is the pigment. So we've got a much stronger pigment in the artist grade oil paint, as you can see. Around about. And then just quickly change brushes again. And then we go back to our oil. Which is going to be something like that. So obviously you can see there's much more pigment in there. So it's just the effect is so much more noticeable when you're actually doing a painting. If you was to go for the premium grade, what you'll actually find is there's probably hardly any filler in it at all. There'll be a little bit, probably tiny little bit. And then what you'll get is you'll get a huge amount of pigment. Excuse my hand if it's in front of the camera. Just blocking this in anyway. It's not like you're missing much. Right, so here we have a pigment. And I'll just change for the last one, which will be the oil. So there we go. As we can see there, this is roughly the difference that you'll actually have between the three different types of paint. There'll be a student grade, which is packed with filler. Basically it's just to bulk out the actual tube. This is the reason that a student grade will be a lot less money, won't cost you as much, because basically you've only got a tiny bit of pigment. It's really the pigment that you're actually paying for when you buy a tube of paint. So basically it's a tiny little bit of pigment. What you'll find over a period of time, the paint, when it actually dries out on the canvas, it will look slightly washed out and it will look quite flat. So this is why a lot of people will go for the artist grade tube of paint, which basically has got much more pigment. It's almost got twice as much and half the amount of filler. So basically what you'll find is you'll get a much stronger, because of the amount of pigment, you'll get a much stronger image. The crispness and the sharpness, the colours will stand out a lot better because of the pigment, but obviously that is reflected in the price. And then we go on to the premium, which again there's hardly, if at all, any filler, and you're getting much more pigment in there. These will be a lot more money than the artist grade, and obviously a lot more money, much more money than the student grade. But if you actually think about it, sometimes these will actually go further than these. You could actually use 2 or 3 tubes of paint equivalent to one of these, because you're trying to pump the colour up and get a nice strong colour, because there's hardly any pigment in there. In hindsight, if you spent that bit more money, you could actually use a third of the paint probably. Depends obviously how you paint. If you're painting in pastel or something like that, you're obviously going to use a lot more paint. I wouldn't advise doing that type of painting with premium grade, but that's just my opinion. If you want to do that, that's entirely up to you. But I'm just basically, for the demonstration purpose, I'm just so you've got a value of why the different types of paint, one is really cheap and others are more expensive. It's basically because of the filler. The pigment is what you're paying for really. The minimum amount in the student, sort of twice as much probably in the artist, and 2.5 if not 3 times as much in the premium grade. So just bear that in mind when you're actually buying your paint. If you want nice vivid and strong colours, the premium or the artist will come out much stronger. These will tend to dry flatter and not be as vibrant and as bright on, but they're great if you're just starting out and you just want to try and see if you're interested in painting, and if you get along with it, fine. Then obviously buy the student grade to start with, but then I would advise going up to at least the artist grade, because you will appreciate the colours more and the vividness because of the stronger pigment. So just bear that in mind. Student grade, artist grade, premium grade.